Hey, Beastista here, and welcome to week 6 of the VDL. This week we're playing against the LA Infernapes. So currently I am 3-2, and my opponent is 0-5. So I'm definitely hoping to not let them get their first win of the season and put myself in a good position to get playoffs, because for the most part, if you can get up to 5 wins, you're almost certainly going to be in the playoffs. And if I win this week, I'll be up to 4 wins with 2 more weeks after this. So let's get into the matchup. So before we start on the specific matchup, which we see here, I'd like to look at my team and note that I added 2 Pokemon on my team. I have Morpeko and Skuntank, in which previously I had Shiftry and Lanoon in those spots. I haven't used Lanoon at all, and I brought Shiftry to only one game, and so they definitely weren't the most important Pokemon, and hopefully these new ones have a pretty good effect on my team. So now going into the matchup, the first thing I'd like to note is that they have Cobalion and Togekiss. Both of those Pokemon are really concerning for me, especially Cobalion, because Cobalion does outspeed every Pokemon on my team other than Weavile, and its coverage does very good into pretty much my entire team. Namely its fighting damage, and then it's also has pretty good coverage outside of fighting, but its fighting moves will do a lot of damage into pretty much my entire team. In addition, we also have Togekiss. Togekiss is very concerning. It is an incredibly bulky Pokemon, and not only is it incredibly bulky, it can be very offensive, especially with its Super Luck set and doing crit to my team. Crit Dazzling Gleam can pretty much kill many Pokemon on my team, and even the Pokemon that take neutral damage to Fairy, that's still going to do close to 50%. And so, other than that, I definitely would say Rhyperior is one of the Pokemon I'm concerned about. My Drapion and Skuntank seem like pretty good answers to Togekiss, for example. However, Rhyperior is a very good way to deal with Drapion and Skuntank specifically, because they both have the ground weakness. And similarly, Bisharp seems like a pretty good answer to Togekiss. However, Rhyperior also answers that very well. Other than that, I could definitely imagine a couple of options. I could see Articuno, maybe Dragapult, even Cottony coming, but it's definitely a lot less clear other than the big 3 that I mentioned. I'm looking at my team. I would say Weavile seems very good. It's one of my best answers to Togekiss, because Triple Axle to Togekiss has a pretty good chance to be able to kill it. In addition, it does very good damage into Rhyperior. It does very good damage into Dragapult, and it's pretty much, Triple Axle hits almost everything on the team for super effective or for neutral damage. Other than that, I think that I definitely want at least one of Skuntank or Drapion in order to take a Dazzling Gleam from Togekiss pretty effectively, and then get some poison damage as a means to offensively threaten it. And in addition, I think Sableye seems very good, because Will-O-Wisp seems very good into physical Cobalion, physical Rhyperior, Trevenant, Licky, and then in addition, Encore to deal with possible Trick Room setups from Sharna or Trevenant. Other than that, I'm not entirely, sure if anything looks too exciting on my team. I considered like Guzzlord for Wide Guard to deal with Dazzling Gleams from Togekiss. However, it doesn't fare well into the rest of their team particularly well. I considered, Mandibuzz, but Mandibuzz is a little bit awkward because I can't really Snarl to deal with Togekiss, especially if it's a crit set. In addition, it doesn't, it's not able to do much damage into any of the Pokemon either. And so let's get into the Pokemon I decided to bring. So here's the team I decided to bring. So the first one is Zoroark. So Zoroark is mainly there as a Pokemon I'm expecting to bring in the back, and it's a good way to kind of finish off Pokemon in the back. Grass Knot should one-shot Rhyperior. Even if it's Saltvest, there's a chance with a Rindo Berry that it survives. But for the most part, it should one-shot Rhyperior. Sledge Bomb does about 50% to Togekiss. Focus Blast has a pretty good chance to one-shot Cobalion if it's not a Saltvest. And the Night Daze, does about should do about 80% damage into most Dragapults, if not kill it, depending on if it's not bulky. So Zoroark can survive a reasonable number of attacks. but not that much. And its speed, though, is pretty good. It understanding Cobalion is definitely one of the things that make it a little bit awkward, and why I'm definitely not going to lead it, and it will definitely be more of a back Pokemon. So Weavile is next. So Weavile is very good. It outspeeds everything except Dragapult. I decided to be able to run Fake Out, Triple Axle, Low Kick, and Ice Shard. So the reason behind Ice Shard is specifically in the situation that I want to lead Weavile Sableye. I can Triple Axle into a Togekiss, and then Ice Shard can clean it up, and it allows me to Encore or Will-O-Wisp with Sableye because Weavile will have higher priority and possibly kill the Pokemon. So Ice coverage, like I said, covers pretty much their entire team very well, except for Cobalion, and Low Kick is there to deal with Cobalion. So Low Kick actually has 120 base power into Cobalion, which is really good, and it should kill Cobalion in about 2 hits. So next we did Drapion. So I decided to go with Drapion with Battle Armor instead of the Sniper Crit Drapion that I normally run. The reason behind this is this allows me to never get crit, which is very good into the Togekiss, which I'm expecting to probably be a crit kiss, which is, Super Luck and Scopelands, which gets 50% crit chances. And so Drapion will never get crit, and I can hit it with Poison Jabs and hopefully kill it in about 2 hits. And in addition to that, I decided to give it Iron Defense and Black Sludge to be able to pretty comfortably deal with, some of the ground moves from like Rhyperior and some fighting and ground moves from Cobalion. And then Protect just to get some extra HP and, to also, because Protect's good. Next, we have Malamar with Saltvest. Like usual, I tried some interesting sets with different items, different moves with Malamar. None of them really seemed better than the Assault Vest, especially because it can't take an attack from Togekiss particularly well without the Assault Vest. So it's pretty standard, contrary superpower Assault Vest. Malamar, fighting coverage is pretty good into their team. Most of their resists to it are pretty well threatened by Pokemon like Weavile or Drapion and other Pokemon that I would imagine you would pair next to Malamar. Next, we have Urshifu with Choice Scarf. So one of the plus sides of running Choice Scarf Urshifu is that I can run Adamant Urshifu. And so this actually lets me, one-shot most Cobalions. It also lets me one-shot most, pretty much most of anything that has a dark or fighting resist. I think that it doesn't quite one-shot the Rhyperior, but it does do quite a bit of damage. I decided to run Low Kick over Close Combat because, like I said, Low Kick has the same damage as Close Combat against Rhyperior and Cobalion, which are the main Pokemon that I would want to hit Close Combat into. And so the only Pokemon that takes super effective damage from fighting coverage that is Licky, and that, though not doing 120 place damage like Close Combat, it does about 100 base power, which is still very good. And then we have the Poison move specifically for the Togekiss, and then U-turn just for pivoting. And so, pivoting out into something like Sableye to take a 0 damage from a fighting move, or pivot out into a possible fairy coverage and bringing out Drapion is pretty good. Finally, we have Sableye. I Fake Out, Will-O-Wisp, Encore, Poltergeist with a Roselli Berry. So the Roselli Berry guarantees survive an attack from the Togekiss. The Fake Out for obvious reasons. Will-O-Wisp, like I said, because they have a lot of physical attackers. And then Encore, this is, a way to counteract the possibility of Trick Room. This also punishes, protects, and even can punish some, any setup moves. And then Poltergeist is there because I wanted to get some pretty good damage with Sableye. However, I didn't want to run Foul Play because Foul Play doesn't do well into Togekiss, and in addition, Foul Play can give the justified boost to Cobalion, which is a little bit awkward. And so I decided I want to do Poltergeist as a way to get some pretty good damage outside that. I strongly considered Shadow Sneak, and I might switch it to Shadow Sneak before the match, but I decided on Poltergeist for now. So anyways, that's my team, and let's get into the match. So here we are for game 1. So looking at my opponent's team, some of the Pokemon I wasn't quite expecting to see was the whatever Score Bunny and the Quagsire. the other 4 is pretty reasonable and definitely what I was expecting to see. So the main option is basically, do I want to kind of lead with Weavile or Sableye, Weavile or Urshifu? Those are kind of my main 2 options. So Weavile or Urshifu is really good if I expect them to lead Cobalion. However, Weavile Sableye is a little bit safer of the lead, and so I decided to go with Weavile and Sableye with Urshifu and Drapion on the back, because Drapion seems pretty good into the team outside of the Rhyperior. So let's get into the match. So my opponent leads Articuno Quagsire, which definitely a lead I wasn't expecting to see, and I lead Weavile and Sableye. And so here I decide to just go with the, I definitely want to fake out with Sableye and probably go for a triple axle. So the main question is, should I triple axle into the Articuno or the Quagsire? I decide I am more threatened of the Articuno than I am with the Quagsire, and so I want to get some damage on it, and so I decide to fake out into the Quagsire, triple axle into the Articuno spot. Like I said, the main idea is just get a little bit of damage into this. I believe that I should 2-shot either of them if I hit all 3 triple axles, but it could depend if they are incredibly bulky or if they have something like a Citrus Berry. And we see they go for a double protect, which actually is very good for me. This basically means I have a free encore into one of them, which makes the next turn completely useless. And so here I'm kind of debating on whether or not I should encore the Articuno or encore the Quagsire. I decided I'm going to encore the Articuno because I think that it can do more, it can be more annoying if it gets moves off. And so I'm going to decide to encore into that spot and then damage into the Quagsire to avoid the possibility of a double protect from the Articuno, because I don't want to waste my attack into it. So we get the encore off and we get a triple axle into the Quagsire. And we see that it does pretty good damage, just under 50%, which is definitely a little bit sad, which means I'm not going to be able to kill it next turn if I hit all 3. And the Quagsire just goes for a Scald into the Weavile, doing very minimal damage, and luckily not getting the burn. And so here we can possibly try to read a protect on the Quagsire, but I decided to just double up into the Quagsire, go for another triple axle into the Quagsire, and go for the Poltergeist into that as well. And the double up will do quite a, or should be able to get the KO. The Articuno protects, which it has to because of the encore, and the Quagsire ends up not protecting, and we end up getting all 3 hits with this triple axle. Was huge deal. Now it should be in range of the Poltergeist, and I missed the Poltergeist. That's a huge thing, and not only that, they also counter into my Weavile. Yeah, that was a major miss on my side and incredibly bad for me. So however, I do realize that Sableye is faster than Quagsire, so here I'm just going to triple axle into the Articuno spot because it protected, and Poltergeist into the Quagsire, hoping to get the kill and not missing the 90% accurate move again. This is definitely one of the sad points of if I brought Shadow Sneak or Shadow Ball instead of Poltergeist, I would have been in a lot better position than I am now. But now my Weavile took 90% damage because I missed the Poltergeist. So they switch out Articuno, which is noteworthy but not that big of a deal, and they bring in Cobalion, which is a pretty good switch into a triple axle. And the Quagsire goes for a protect, which is not that big of a deal, and we get the triple axle off into the Cobalion. And so it does pretty good damage. The noteworthy thing is that should be now within range of a low kick, assuming that the Cobalion is not in particularly bulky, which is definitely very good for me. And so here I have a pretty clean turn, which is just Poltergeist into the Quagsire and low kick into the Cobalion. And as long as Cobalion is not Choice Scarf, I am in very good shape because I get a pretty clean kill. I could definitely see an argument to maybe encore the Quagsire instead, but we see that the Quagsire just goes for a protect, and so the encore would have done literally nothing. And in this case, we kill the Cobalion cleanly, and the Poltergeist gets blocked as a protect. And the double protect was, not the worst thing, but definitely not the not great for me. And so now we have Quagsire, and they're going to bring out either Articuno or probably Togekiss in the back would be my guess, and they bring out Articuno here. And so now I think it's pretty easy play as well, which is I think the clear play is just triple axle into the Articuno and Poltergeist into Quagsire and hope that I kill Quagsire from this range. It's definitely unclear at this point, but Poltergeist is a pretty big move. And so here we go for the triple axle, and the triple axle hits all 3 hits, luckily for me, and gets over 50%. However, the Articuno does reveal that it's Citrus Berry, and now I likely won't kill it with another hit with the triple axle. And Articuno now gets up Tailwind, which is a pretty big deal now that my Weavile is not outsped, and the Quagsire here gets a recover off. So yeah, so this is definitely possibly a misplay. I was just thinking about the idea that I outspeed the Quagsire, and I wasn't really thinking about the idea that they might set up Tailwind. And so if I would have Encored and Quagsire would have been put in to protect, I think I would be in commanding position here, because if Quagsire was protected to protect, I could then Encore the Articuno into Tailwind as well. And so here I'm debating on a switch out. And so the idea behind the switch out is to account for a because I'm gonna Encore the Articuno spot here. And so here we see that the Articuno goes for Protect, and so I don't get the Encore off, and I go for the triple axle into the Quagsire, and I'm able to get a crit on the first one, and I hit the second one, and I missed the third one, which definitely pretty annoying, but it was bound to happen eventually. And so definitely I'm in a little bit awkward situation. I think me not killing the Quagsire really hurt me early on, and then me not encoring and just saying, oh, I can kill with Poltergeist definitely put me in a really bad position, in which I was a commanding position if I would have just encored instead of trying to kill with Poltergeist. But now I bring out the Urshifu, and Urshifu definitely should outspeed the Quagsire, and because of its Choice Scarf, and here we just Encore into the Articuno, so that, force it in to protect. And so they switch out Articuno, which is definitely a smart move on their side. If I had something like Shadow Sneak or Shadow Ball instead, I might go for it. But it's way too greedy of a decision to Poltergeist because Articuno doesn't have an item. And so I think going for the Wicked Blow, killing the Urshifu definitely seems like a reasonable decision here. And so now we have the Articuno and the Togekiss versus my 3 Pokemon. And the Togekiss is in a very good position because it has Tailwind, and I don't think I outspeed likely. And this is definitely a little bit awkward position. And it's the last turn of Tailwind. So what I'm decided to do here is I decide that I'm just going to switch out the Urshifu so that I can bring it back in with the last turn of Tailwind, or so that it comes in with the Tailwind. And in addition, my Drapion was trained to be able to survive 2 Dazzling Gleams from a Togekiss. And so here I decided to go for a Poltergeist into an Articuno, which is a huge misplay, really sad decision that I decided to do that because Articuno already lost its Citrus Berry, and this huge mistake would have been really nice damage into the Togekiss. And so here the Togekiss Dazzling Gleam goes into my team, and we end up getting a lot of damage, and what we can see is that Drapion actually takes more than 50%, and that's really sad because I thought I specifically bred it to survive it in this situation. And so here I think I make a misplay. Based on the damage calcs, I think I will survive a Dazzling Gleam if I protect and get a little bit more Black Sludge. So here, however, I get into a situation where I Encore Articuno into Tailwind. However, now they actually have Tailwind up, and they get a Dazzling Gleam that's able to kill my Drapion. And if I would have protected, my Drapion would have actually been able to survive another Dazzling Gleam. Definitely a little bit awkward, and now pretty much the game is over. If I had Drapion out here, then there's definitely a chance, but not the best chance. I think if I would have Poltergeisted into the Togekiss, and then the Poison Jab had a chance to KO, I might have been able to win this game. However, with the combination of not protecting and Poltergeisting into the Articuno instead of the Togekiss, I think I put myself in a position that I lost this game. Definitely really sad. I think I was in a commanding position a couple times, and if my Poltergeist didn't miss the Quagsire, or if I would have encored the Quagsire instead, I think I probably could have gotten this game. And even if I Poltergeist into the Togekiss instead, I think I might have been able to get there, but they definitely, Sosa definitely played well, and sadly, I'm down game 1. So let's get into game 2. So here we are for game 2. So I decided I kind of want to lead Zoroark, because Zoroark seems like a Pokemon that can do really well at one-shotting the Quagsire. And in addition, it also can one-shot the the Cobalion. And so I'm thinking that I want to run Zoroark as my lead, and I'm just kind of deciding what I want it to appear as. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe save and make Zoroark look like Weavile seems like a reasonable decision. Or maybe make it look like Drapion. And so I'm definitely kind of decided that I like this Sableye Zoroark lead, and I'm just kind of considering what seems like the best Pokemon in the back. I definitely think that Weavile is a necessary Pokemon in the back in order to deal with the Togekiss, because Togekiss, as we saw, was a very big problem for my team, and Triple Axel should kill it for the most part. And especially since the Togekiss looked like it's pretty fast and pretty hard. And so I decided to go with Urshifu as my last Pokemon. So this definitely is a little bit, as you can see, is very glass canny. So I definitely need to get some early kills in order to do well with this game. So my opponent leads Raboot Cobalion, which is definitely a lead I was not particularly expecting. And I lead Sableye Weavile. So here, it's definitely not clear. So my Weavile is actually Zoroark. So I decided to just go for the Fake Out and Focus Blast into the Cobalion. This should kill it. However, they protect Cobalion, which is terrible for me. This gives me into a horrible position because now I just wasted my entire turn just to go with this. However, I should be able to encore it. However, we see that Raboot ends up going for a high jump kick, and this ends up doing a huge amount of damage and killing my Zoroark, which is incredibly sad because actually my Zoroark is very bulky. It actually is bulky enough to survive a Sacred Sword from a Cobalion, and so I'm definitely surprised at how much damage that did, and it definitely is incredibly sad for me. So here we see, now we have Urshifu, and so I can do a couple things, and I decided to just Will-O-Wisp into the Raboot spot in order to kind of be able to survive an attack from it, and low kick the Cobalion, which has a chance to one-shot depending on how bulky it is. I think I should kill it based on how much damage the Weavile did previous game. However, Raboot goes for an Ally Switch, which I was 100% not expecting, which is really bad. However, I should survive a Cobalion attack because I should be able to get the burn here. And so we get the Will-O-Wisp into the Cobalion, which is really big, so I should 100% survive this with the Urshifu. Especially even without the burn, and we see that they have Lumberry, which is terrible. So now the little bit goes into a Psychic Pokemon, and the close combat goes into the Urshifu, and the Urshifu dies. I don't know how, if they're Adamant or Jolly, but if they're Jolly, I survived that about 75% of the time. And so not only did they have the Lumberry, they also got a High Roll, which is really bad, and now I'm in a horrible position. And so now I have no idea how I'm getting out of this. I'm trying to just think of the ways in which I can theoretically get out of this game. And I definitely think I need my opponent to misplay here. And so I decide that I'm going to go for the Will-O-Wisp onto the Raboot spot, and the low kick onto the Cobalion. So the Cobalion ends up protecting, and the Will-O-Wisp goes into the Raboot. So now it is burned, which is something. However, I'm definitely not feeling great, and the low kick ends up going to this. If I would have doubled up in the Raboot, I might have been able to get there in pretty good shape, but now they do a high jump hit, and I really need a miss here, and that's like my only way out, but they hit, and they end up getting me down to my Focus Sash, and now I'm in such bad shape. I don't think I have much damage to do this. And I just need to hope that they don't actually go for damaging moves. So I just basically, the only way I win this right now is if Raboot goes for like Ally Switch. And that's kind of the situation in which I'm thinking. It's like, how do I win in this situation? It's, I need Ally Switch on Raboot. And so I decide that I'm going to Encore onto the Kabolion, expecting the ally switch into the Raboot and low kick into the Raboot spot, hoping that they ally switch, because this is the only way is if they make this massive misplay. However, they don't make this massive misplay, which, you know, that was just being optimistic at best. And they sucker punch, which definitely, you know, hurts quite bad. And I just encore into the Kabolion, and yes, this does make it a little bit awkward for them, but they have 4 Pokemon, and my Sableye does not do much damage, and so at this point, we are pretty much dead. So this game definitely went pretty badly. I definitely think I could have probably won game 1 if I played a little bit better and had a little bit better, or had a little bit better luck. But with the luck and my misplays, I ended up losing that. So definitely looking pretty bad for me. I am now 3-3, and my playoff hopes are incredibly low. So definitely pretty sad. I do have, you know, I have to win my next 2 games to possibly make playoffs. If I lose either of my next 2 games, I have 100% out of playoffs, unless people drop out of playoffs for some reason. I guess the silver lining is that you know, Sosa got their first win, and the other silver lining is that not a single person in the VDL Discord wanted me to win this week. Everyone either wanted me to lose or was or specifically said I was going to lose. So I guess for them, it's good for them. So for the VDL, they should be happy because I lost, because that's what everyone was saying this last week. However, I get a little freeze, which, you know, bad luck, but irrelevant. And the Stazing Gleam picks up the KO. It's definitely a pretty bad loss for me, and hopefully I can win the next 2 weeks and get to playoffs. But, you know, if all else fails, like I said, my goal going into the season was just to go 4-4, and hopefully I can get at least there. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope everyone enjoyed.